Hey, what's going on, everybody? Juju Panda back in action to talk about something else today. By something else, yet again, it's this ongoing saga. But before we begin, how about we, just talk, You and I. I'm having a little bit of a cookout here, feeling a little bit nostalgic. Just want to enjoy the last few fleeting days of warmth and sunshine before it all goes away to autumn, and then winter. So, you want a beer? You want a burger? How about a burger? Oh. Not that burger. You can have one of these. But yeah. I'm just going to cut to the bullshit. Christian, they wrote another letter. You'll never guess who it was written to. Kenneth Englehardt, of all people. Kenneth Englehardt, surprisingly, they were one of Christian's white knights. Basically one of the people that basically saw Christian for who he was, that he was a misunderstood... I'm terribly sorry. You already know my, firmest, deepest, darkest beliefs about Christian. So, misunderstood is not exactly the right word. Maybe that was a Freudian slip. I don't know. But what I will tell you is that they are not a good person, okay? Kenneth Englehardt, he was one of the few people that were willing to entertain and humor Chris. I don't actually know much about Kenneth to begin with. All I know is his relation to Chris, and his relation to Chris was basically that he bought a few things off of Christian's eBay and I believe their Etsy store before it got shut down. You have to understand, and I'm not going to be too upset with you either if you don't remember who Kenneth Englehardt is, but Kenneth Englehardt, he was a well-meaning older dude that was willing to humor Christian, be sort of a white knight and supporter for him, and try to help him out. He even sent him some canned goods after Christian's house caught fire. Now, that was during the time period where I pretty much stopped paying attention to Christian because Christian was just kind of I don't know. When they came out as being a tom girl and a cross-dresser, then they became out as trans, except they weren't really trans because it was all a giant, huge ploy to get women. He wanted the China. He wanted the pussy. He thought that becoming trans was going to multiply and double his dating prospects, which thankfully it didn't happen because, I could show you a picture today. I could show you a picture from yesterday. The picture from yesterday is where Christian probably looked his best. And even when he looked his best, he still looked a little bit weird. The expression on his face when he was looking at the camera at the time, it sort of looked like, I'm just imagining some Iraqi war veteran who just watched his entire platoon get blown up by an IED. And that's the expression that they would have, is what's on Christian's face. Sort of like a lost in the deer, deer in the headlights, lost sort of look. But maybe that's being a little bit too harsh. Anyway, Kenneth Englehardt. They parted paths, actually, a while ago, because Christian basically found Kenneth to be annoying, but also a useful kind of annoying, because he would basically encourage Kenneth to buy things off of their Patreon. Well, donate money to the Patreon and buy things off of eBay and, various other places. And, Kenneth, realizing that Christian was kind of beyond reproach and beyond help, he basically cut the cord and said, dude, that's not how friendships work. We're done. And it's surprising to me that Christian would reach out to Kenneth Englehardt, of all people. Honestly, did he have nobody else better to reach out to? I know that Null's done with him. In fact, that's a recurrent theme in Christian's life. People tolerate Christian for a while until they can withstand no more, and then they cut the cord, because that's the only way that you can sort of respond to this kind of individual. And I reacted before, where I just burst out laughing by my own poor choice of words, I don't feel bad anymore about that sort of thing, I feel bad for being so unprofessional to the rest of you all, but I don't feel bad at laughing at Christian's expense. Anyway, he wrote a letter, and rather than offer a synopsis of the letter, because we're going to go over the commentary later, but for right now, let's just go ahead and, I'll go ahead and put these burgers down. I don't want you guys getting indigestion from reading all this, or I should say, hearing me read all of it. However, I will display plenty of what I can on screen for you all to just peruse and admire Christian's wonderful, handwriting. I gotta say, his handwriting's a lot better than I thought it would be. All things considered. This is a high-functioning autistic man that we're talking about. Anyway, without any further ado, let's go ahead and read that letter, shall we? Back in a sec. That's better. Now that I'm in the comfort of my own home, we can probably get started on tackling this letter. But before I begin, I'd just like to clarify, I did try to turn this into its own live video feed in the top left-hand corner, kind of like I did with FaceRig, but for whatever reason, OBS just was not having it today. So I hope you can make do with this. Anyway, I'm just going to try to read this letter in the best possible voice that I possibly can. Bear in mind, 8 pages to sort of replicate and simulate Chris Chan's voice is a little bit of a tall order for me, so it's probably not going to be in Chris Chan's voice. So when I say best possible voice, I'm thinking something like Guilford Gottfried, Christopher Walken, maybe even like Obama, or maybe Joe Biden. How about Donald Trump? You'd all love to hear Donald Trump speak like Chris Chan's words in his voice, wouldn't you? Nah, I'm kidding. Maybe for another video, I'll pick one of those persons and like try it my hand at making an impression. But for right now, it's not going to sound exactly like Chris Chan because I just cannot, I don't think I can keep up that K-fob of like 8 pages long, alright? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read it in a voice that hopefully will be palatable enough for you all to tolerate. Alright. By the way, the letter is dated October 4th, 2021, so I'm just clarifying. I'm sure most of you probably already knew that, but for those of you that didn't, there you go. It's addressed to Kenneth, so that's where we're going to begin. Page 1. Hey, Kenneth. This is the body of your and my soul partner, Jesus Christine Weston Chandler Saichu, speaking to you on her blessed behalf. I know everything, though Christine knows more from her experiences since our extended separation since September 16, 2021. She shall return for me from the apex of our second coming. For those remaining who do not yet know, between Christine and I, combined and divided, we are the real player one, the one avatar, I, the body, and the one true God body, and she and I are literally the full reincarnation of none other than Jesus Christ of Nazareth himself. The conclusion of the dimensional merge's completion includes the completion of the collective shift for the majority that are good and those recoverable from Earth 1218 to Earth 1C211987, and the second coming of Christine and I together again as your fully reawakened Lord, Messiah, Savior, God, and Judge over the minority who are the toxic, darkest sinners, haters, fakers, and darkest demonics who shall be left behind on 1218 Earth to burn. We are now on Malachi 3 and 4 of the Old Testament in my Bible. The future of all Sinachu's and Rosachu's, under still continued mortal care and guardian watch from I and our husband Magichan Sinachu Prime of the Universe 1C-211987 and C197 before the recombination shall remain the same for the future of all Pokemon, Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario, Ratchet and Clank, Neptune, Blank, Noir, Vert, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin, Eric Cartman, Tsukino Usagi, Goku, Inuyasha, and Kagome, Papa Smurf, Haruhi Suzumiya, Gumball Watterson, SNT, Lightning Bliss, Dr. Wolf, Princess Star Butterfly, and Marco Diaz, Optimus Prime, Autobots Sanchu and Chris Chan, Tony Stark / Iron Man, Bruce Wayne, Batman, Diana, Wonder Woman, President Lisa Simpson, Sunset Shimmer, Princess Twilight Sparkle, Raven, Jenny Wakeman, XJ9, Danny Phantom, Fox McCloud, The Jedi, Captain Kirk, and so on into all present-day existent original and fictional characters, including the majority of all of you OCs of 1218 Earth, here, and myself and Christine. We all continue on in greatest partially immortal stead, mutual chronicling, and alive, safe, and well forevermore. So, yeah, Englehardt, I have just answered 2 of your questions, and to make it more clear, I am the God body. Christine is literally God herself. We both are Jesus Christ reincarnated, so spiritual and religious philosophies and even further expanded. A day in this jail, as constantly written in the Daily Goddess log, Christine and I, we meditate deep, connected with this earth, the cosmos and universe and dimensions of this timeline, as well as the entire multiverse. Energy conservation and continued workings well above anyone's heads on this 1218 Earth. Write daily logs with insight and wisdoms in the same. I have a temporary soul partner, a holy flame type you may. Remember on her repentance tour, keeping me safe, well, not abused, and good, alongside many good angels, spirits, and OP allies in and around this jail of fail. We presently have a genuine Turkish prayer rug and a deck of playing cards from the commissary, along with very much appreciated sports bra, socks with no holes, earplugs, and a few other goodies. Food's mostly good and well, not perfect meatballs. Banquet dinners have better meatballs, and chicken is often dry. And at present, we are asking all peoples to send money to the Sonichu Temple at 14 Branchland Court in Ruckersville, Virginia, to pay off the mortgage and remaining debts. Food for Barbara is also appreciated, and visitors who personally offer genuine kindness and good intentions are all encouraged to visit the temple. Prayers to and for Christine and I are appreciated and shall be answered. All prayers to Jesus have all been going to Christine for nearly 40 years now, and absolutely nothing is to be taken from within the temple or its property yard or defaced. All who do this shall be struck down by my allies, the gods, and heaven's armies. Blessings of great measure, personally for all who come, visit, and bring good positive tithes and offerings. Also, donations to my inmate account can only be made through the Central Virginia Regional Jail's website, and only U.S. postal money orders, cashier checks, or certified checks made out and addressed to Christine is acceptable through postal mail. While that is greatly appreciated as well, the needs of the Sonichu Temple and Barbara's safety and her son keep of the temple remains of higher priority. And lastly, but importantly, contact the local Virginia government of Ruckersville and Charlottesville, Virginia, as well as President Biden, and get me, Christine's body, as well as Christine herself, obviously, a full pardon to get me out of this jail and mess, please. What had happened was literally a divine mission, commissioned to Christine and I by Emmanuel, God above gods, herself, to heal and cleanse Barbara's health and soul and being, and clear her of remaining sins and regrets through cuddling, talking, and supportive soul bonding to mainly extend her life, personally, by divine intervention. As Christine had told a few of you others via mail and posted onto Kiwi Farms, all of you were being and are now being divinely tested with divine purpose leak of this information. Too many of you have epically failed by responding and giving in to the drama, instead of ignoring this with greater consideration of the context and knowing better of Christine, the past situations, and leaving it as a lost rumor. Instead, Allah over 2,000 years ago in Israel on history repeat alongside Judas and Null, Christine was massively betrayed like she was in hers and mine past life. There. Meditate on all that now, or consult Ask a genuine, highly enlightened psychic to see for yourselves. Consider this your quote-unquote interview, Kenneth. Go ahead, please, and share all of this information with what handwritten original pages were already posted as well. Thanks. Sincerely, God Body of Miss Jesus Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu, the Goddess Blue Heart and Lord, Messiah, and Savior of all. Postscript. Have you ever sat on a prayer rug and with a deck of playing cards played solitaire? If this is genuinely a humbling experience, I highly recommend it. I shall suddenly come to my temple. Jesus Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu, October 5th, 2021. Okay. So, that's all she wrote. I'm getting restless sitting in this chair, so let's have a little bit of a change of scenery, and we'll come back to discuss what I think of the letter, what you all might think of the letter, and we'll move on from there, shall we? So I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't sure what to expect when I started reading that letter, because while I heard that a letter was floating around, that this was like the second known letter, at least to me, that had been sent out by Christian from prison, I had no idea what that was going to entail, you know? And for the most part, they're keeping up this illusion where they are the second coming of Christ, that they are Jesus Christ reincarnated. However, reading all of that, you gotta wonder, like, I'm pretty sure there are clauses, like, in established Christianity that, you know, basically condemn you as a heretic, and that's sacrilegious for you to consider yourself to be a deity or like a divine being like that. Just declare yourself that, which is pretty much what Christian's doing. I mean, hell, there was that line in the letter where it was just like, all prayers that have been prayed to Jesus Christ have actually been siphoned off and going to Christian as opposed to Jesus. Well, then again, they're equating themselves to Jesus, but then again, that doesn't even make sense, because it's like, if you are the same Jesus Christ from like 2,000 years ago, reincarnated, wouldn't all of the prayers have been going on like to you directly, like in spite of all that? Because Jesus died 2,000 years ago, and you know, well, you know, and wouldn't that establish that you know, you would be like having in receipt of all of those, you know, those prayers? And it's just, then again, people have pointed out, and I don't think I need to point out, Christian's religion makes no goddamn sense. And I'm curious if Kenneth reached out to Christian. Maybe they were trying to reestablish that friendship, try to help Christian out, kind of like he had been doing before. And this is the way that Christian responds. And it's just more crazy, delusional bullshit. Although, it's entirely possible that they're working up that insanity plea. I wouldn't be surprised, but again, it could go either way. Like, and I'm starting to wonder if I give a shit anymore. Because Christian, they were a long-time fascination for me. You know, being that lovable village idiot that you would laugh at their nonsense and their grand master plans of trying to bring down Clyde Cash and Liquid Chris, and, you know, basically treating life like it was a cartoon show. That was kind of entertaining. I stopped paying attention to them after they came out as being, you know, a tranny. And, well, what was it? It was a tom girl. Then they came out as being, like, you know, a cross-dresser. And I think Bob, in the later years, like right before he died, he found out about that about Chris and was, like, getting on his case about it. But then Bob died, so Christian pretty much had free reign to do whatever the fuck they wanted. And, you know, the progression had started with Tom Girl, with Crossdresser, and then Tranny. So they became transgender. But I would say transtrender because it was more to get the chicks. They wanted to expand their dating pool, and so they did. But by and large, there was a theory proposed by various people called TITS. And I think I mentioned it before on this channel. Trolling-induced transgender syndrome. It's where somebody gets trolled so hard for so long that they just can't take it anymore. and they become transgender, you know. I guess it's, you know, to a greater degree, it's like they have become emasculated by, you know, the internet at large, and possibly even the people in their everyday life. So they feel like they are no longer a man, that they are a woman, and they become as such. Very fascinating stuff. Also, I do not advocate for that kind of behavior. I don't advocate for you to troll or bully people, but you gotta wonder, like, what some of these people had done to deserve it. Chris Chan, it's pretty self-explanatory. There was a point in their life that they weren't really that bad of a person. They weren't necessarily a good person, but they weren't certainly, like, bad. I wouldn't advocate for them to have been trolled like they have been, but, well, it happened, and Chris Chan showed themselves to not be entirely a good person. But yeah, wheeling it back to that letter. You know, more just perpetuating the bullshit that, you know, they are, in fact, Jesus Christ, and that they are, you know, keeping their headcanon of, like, the two alternative Earths, and that there's going to be a dimensional merge. What I'm curious about is, what is the significance of the characters that they wrote down? Were those the characters that were just on their mind that they could readily remember? Or were those characters significant in some way? Because I remember hearing Mickey Mouse and, like, you know, Inuyasha and Kagome, of course, and even Batman and, like, Tony Stark. What does Iron Man have to do with this? Like, what is this unholy blend of Marvel meets My Little Pony meets, like, classical Disney? I don't get it. Like, and why them in particular? Why did Chris Chan write their names down? Also, the dimensional merge, in case you haven't known, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a brief synopsis of it. The dimensional merge is something that Chris Chan has been espousing almost like a prophet for the last 2 years, give or take. And basically the general idea is that, you know, all works of fiction are basically different dimensions, or different universes, if you prefer, and that there's going to be a dimensional merge, in which case you will become your own original character, that you will be having the opportunity to shake hands with Superman, Batman, and maybe even Spider-Man, and that, like, you're going to start seeing fictional characters walking around the general public, which honestly would be kind of cool, but I already live that every day here in VR chat, so what's the point? But it's kind of morbid and grim, because one core tenet of the whole idea behind the dimensional merge is that at least 50% of the people on Earth are going to die. Like, either through no fault of their own, not because they were a sinner or anything like that, they just die because it's that catastrophic. And then some of those people that are in that 50% are the deepest, darkest sinners that Chris Chan was referring to. But, you know, this is shaping up to be a solid, insanity plea deal. An insanity defense. I'm sure David Heilman is certainly, taking all of this in consideration, because if I remember correctly, at least Null's letter, it was encouraged that Chris Chan would get a physical copy to David Heilman. Why him in particular? Because he's a lawyer? I guess it's because of, like, ever since the cops raked Chris Chan over the coals by arresting him and being like, "You broke the no contact order," maybe Chris Chan's trying to be extra careful, and his lawyer might have even told him, "Hey, if you think of contacting anybody, please run it by me first so I can make sure that it's legally sound and that you're not going to get into any legal trouble again." Maybe. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that this letter was, it wasn't 8 pages. I don't know why I thought it was going to be 8 pages, but it was less than that. I think I included the front page, because there was a front page and there was a back page. You know, the envelope and the postscript sort of written thing. But Christian, interestingly enough, they put their own emblem down. Like an emblem signifying their religion, presumably. And I just like how they quibbled about, you know, having to eat prison food. Like meatballs and dry chicken. Like, you're not going to go to prison and expect to get a gourmet meal. If you do, you're probably at Camp Cupcake or something like that, wherever Martha Stewart was sent to. Someplace where the rich go. Chris Chan is not of the wealthy upper class, so, you know, they're kind of like the rest of us. They are subjected to whatever trials, toils, and tribulations that we are. So, you know, that's what Chris Chan can expect. I do find it kind of sacrilegious and offensive that Christian considers his house of all places to be the temple, and that all of the grounds are holy and that you need to respect the temple. You know, I think there's a recurrent saying that you treat your body as though it were your temple. So if you're shoving like 50 pounds of chicken wings in your mouth, you're not really respecting your temple, right? Take that to a literal step. Like, look at Christian's health and look at his house that he stays at. Historically, the Christian Weston Chandler household has not fared well. As in, like, there's just trash everywhere. There's probably mold growing in the house. The parents just let the cat shit everywhere they wanted to. And Christian slipped in the cat shit a couple times. And just, like, the house is in utter disarray. It was to the point that when Christian did the house tour video, his parent, like, Bob freaked. He thought that the health inspector was going to come over and condemn the house, which is not outside the realm of disbelief, but I think they found out about it, but they didn't give a shit. They're like, we don't fucking care. But, like, here's the problem. Even with Bob's passing, Christian has basically kept that sort of habit of just trash everywhere. Their like room is actually the most cleanliest room, but everything else just kind of degraded and molded. And before the house fire, I remember a picture floating around where one of the walls of their house had split apart. It's like, you know, a fat person trying to put on jeans that are too small, and the seams just rip on the side. I had never, ever seen that in a house before. So, horrors they are. And, well, you already saw Christian's spending habits. He just spends money on, like, My Little Pony, Legos, and action figures, so it's not really worth contributing money to support that habit if he's not going to put it towards bills, education, or training. He is really, I would say, the queen or the king of the neats. King of the neats because I don't respect their pronouns, because they're not really authentically trans. Queen if you respect Christian's pronouns. I don't, but for those of you that believe in Crispangelion and the second coming of Christ and all of that hoopla, well, your Messiah has just given you her words. Take them as you will. Reflect upon them, hold them near and dear to your heart, and decide whether or not that you can lend credence to the fact that Christian is in fact our Lord and Savior. God help us all. Anyway, I'm just taking the piss, but there you go. Christian has penned a second letter. I'm wondering if this is going to be a whole new saga. It's going to be like the letter saga. The felon saga meets the letter saga. And it's like, why Kenneth Englehardt anyway? Like, he seemed like he was lukewarm towards Christian. He wasn't, like, overtly on Christian's side, not like Null was. Although, in Null's case, that was more out of a sense of guilt and obligation to help somebody that you had been kicking down for, like, several years now. Kenneth Englehardt, he's kind of an obscure character in the whole Christery thing, you know? I would have expected Christian to reach out to Megan more than anybody else. Like, but Megan is long gone. Like, she is not going to be, like, open to talking to Christian ever again, I'm pretty sure. Especially given more recent turns of events, but, goes without saying. Honestly, the more that I see Christian trying to conflate actual biblical events and his bastardized interpretation of them to them being Jesus Christ reincarnated, sacrilegious is the least bit of a word that comes to mind. I'm very interested to hear what the Pope, or maybe some cardinals from the papacy might say, or maybe even the local archbishop, because this is, like, sacrilege and heresy to the highest degree. I mean, I'm surprised that the fucking, Astral Astartes haven't stormed down the, like, prison where Christian is and beaten him for his sacrilege. Heresy of the highest order. Worship the Golden Throne. Alright. That's really all I had to say about that. But, yeah. So, will you follow the new religion of Crispangelion? Will you be there on the day of Judgment Day when the dimensional merge happens and become your OC. See, if the dimensional merge happens tomorrow, I'm ready. I'm going to look like either this or the panda. Like this or the panda, alright? You've already seen the panda in the last video. I'm going to look like this or the panda. So I guess I'll flip a coin. And maybe I'm not going to be one of the 50% people that die. Maybe I'm going to be lucky. I'm going to wake up one day. I'm going to be a furry, a true furry. I'm going to have a furry body. And then I'm going to go bankrupt because I'm going to spend like massive amounts of money on shampoo. Because, you know, fur's got to get cleaned. Like, kind of like hair, you know. Doesn't pay for itself. And yeah, I guess live life out in the wilderness until I get, you know, attacked by furry hunters and things like that. So let's hope not. Honestly, that could be a whole new video. Let's speculate on what the dimensional merge would look like, and a deeper explanation as to the core tenets of the dimensional merge. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, guys, take care and peace. I hope you have a better one. Hey fellas, thanks for watching the video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Would you care to hit that like button and subscribe for more? I greatly appreciate it.